And we're live.
Sweet.
Welcome.
Comedy.
Yeah, that's right. We made it. We're only a few minutes late, but that's okay. Welcome to, all John's fault. Blame it on John. Welcome to episode 21, I fucked that up. Welcome to episode 21, Gun Salute of Gunning Around, where we do our best to emasculate each other and attempt to convince you, the listeners, that we actually have something worthwhile listening to. I try to convince myself that every day.
If I had $1 for every time the thought went through my head, like, what the fuck are you even doing here?
You'd have a tune. You'd be able to buy yourself a coffee.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Hey, Luke.
Yo. Hey. I want to, before we get going, Luke, thanks for listening, buddy. I'm glad you're feeling better. Luke had a bypass or a bunch of bypass a while back. So I'm glad you're doing well, Luke. Just keep kicking, buddy. So anyway, speaking of health, we're going to, our main topic for this episode, we decided that we would do a piece about public safety, home safety, general awareness, situational awareness, what it means to have a plan, basically what you can do to combat the coronavirus, which I think right now is you're more likely to get stabbed by O.J. Simpson than you are to get the coronavirus. but still, shit's hitting there, people are panicking and blah, blah, blah. So basically prepping is our main topic. But before we get into our topic, we're going to give a rundown here. A word from our sponsors, because we have sponsors, plural. First off, Gunning Around is proudly brought to you by EM Precision Rifles, specializing in custom precision long-range and extended long-range rifles, offering all services in-house, including machining, cerakoting, custom laser engraving, which is awesome. If you guys haven't seen his new, Steve's doing his laser engraving, check it out. It's highly cool. No need to source components yourself. EM Precision offers preferred pricing through many vendors, carrying every component required to get you into the range or onto the field. What?
Into the field.
Into.
I think they get it.
Slide into the field.
All two people listening right now, I think they get it.
Yeah.
That's right. Find Shane and the seasoned vet Steve on their website at emprifles.ca, as well as on Facebook and Instagram as EM Precision Rifles. Make sure to compliment Steve's boyish good looks, and you may get a discount. So, you can always ask. He might punch you in the face.
I think you can. I think you can bet on the fact that we won't any longer be getting a discount because of comments.
Yeah,
like those.
And sponsor. Yeah. So, who are we? Well, I'm Sean's. I like guns. Okay. Sometimes I'm called Officer Dicklock due to the fun police raining on my parade.
You sure that's not Jaw Lock?
Easy there. And sometimes I am called Dad.
What kind of officer is that?
Actually, so Kurt's the one who does Rickyisms. Ricky said that in court when he was on trial for one of his various marijuana possession things. Officer, he called one of the cops Officer Dicklock and Officer Cockwad or something. It was funny. Anyway, who else do we got?
I'm John. I'm a journeyman electrician, the CCFR field officer, VP of the Regina Fish and Game League, Project Maple Seed IIT, firearms business owner, M14 Medic Firearms, sport shooter, hunter, and a certifiable rifle loony.
Loony, not the money, because we're all broke.
Yes,
but John's genuinely crazy.
No,
in a good way,
crazy like
in an adorable way.
not like, oh, you're crazy. It's like, no, you're fucking
cray.
Moving along.
Yes.
I'm Rooster. I work in construction management. I'm a new Saskatoon area CCFR field officer, a hunter, a hand loader, long-range precision metal grunt, and my lifelong goal is to shoot just like Doug.
Aw, who's Doug?
Yeah. Those who know.
Well, I know many Dougs, and only one of them is worth a fuck behind the trigger.
Well, I know a different Doug than you know.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay.
Shoot like Doug, people. Shoot like Doug.
Right on.
Some possum.
So, John, where can people find us?
Sorry, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit us at facebook.com/gunningaround and leave a review. You can also email the show at gunningaround308@gmail.com or info@gunningaround.com. Without your feedback, how can we possibly improve? We have an awesome website, gunningaround.com. Also, please leave a review on iTunes so we can get all of the stars. Kurt likes gold stars.
And tater tots.
And tater tots.
And chicken tendies and tater tots.
Okay, that just brought something to mind, and I'm not sure if it's germane to the conversation, but I don't care. But did you know that fish fingers are sized accordingly so that they will have 5 fish fingers on a standard piece of bread?
No.
Yeah.
Can't say as I knew that.
Yeah. It's totally a thing.
Is there an ANSI standard for a piece of bread size of?
No, I think it's just basically a British standard.
Yeah, it's not a CSA requirement or anything like that.
No, it'd be definitely something like a CE or IEEE standard or something.
Yeah, those guys would come up with shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Oh, rookie.
sorry. So who wants to handle this this next one? Kurt.
All right, folks. Gunning Around is having a sticker draw to help us get to TACOM this year.
What?
Buy a sticker for $15 and a bumper sticker, and you'll be entered into our Maple Seed inspired giveaway, which is Ruger 1022 with a scope and a sling attached,
and a hard case,
and right?
one mag,
and a bunch of stickers and stuff like that. You bet.
Yeah.
Sticker draw sponsored by TNT Gunworks in Regina. Stay tuned to the show and our updates on Facebook and Instagram. The draw will be live streamed on Facebook and YouTube on Saturday, March 28th during our regular broadcast. And also,
John, why don't you read the ad read from another one of our sponsors?
Sure. So, sponsor of the sticker draw is TNT Gunworks. Has been your local gun store in Regina area since 1989. TNT is a full-service retailer with a full-time gunsmith on staff, repairing all makes and models of firearms, doing custom pistol and rifle work, and hot bluing. Your one-stop shop for firearms, ammunition, reloading supplies, and those hard-to-find parts for Granddad's Cooey. New and used guns bought and sold, including trades and consignment, archery and fishing supplies. Check them out, tntgunworks.com.
You do have a certain flair, don't you, when you're reading?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's more like Ric Flair than somebody
certain
cool.
Chutzpah.
Jeez Louise.
Right. You do have a perfect face for radio, John. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and a voice for silent movies.
Yes.
So next up, I got feedback, and I guess I've got an email.
Oh, you do?
Which I didn't have time to put in the show notes because that's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah.
So this is from Ontario Tim.
Oh, another one.
Yeah. Hey, John. He singled me out on this one because I'm special. Just thought I'd like to send you a copy of the letter that I put in the box.
That you misplaced from...
Yeah. I guess I should have taped it to the bottle, like Kurt said. LOL. And explained so that I added to the box. Thanks very much for sending the packaging slip, by the way. So, Sean, John, and Rooster. He addressed the letter, all three of us. How about that?
Oh, there we go.
I've enclosed a gift along with the bottle. It's a project I've been working on for you and part of the reason the bottle didn't get out to you earlier. Sorry for the delay, but I hope you enjoy the bottle as well as these chamber flags and shot shell holders. The flags are a totally original design of mine, whereas the holders are a version I found online that I modified. The blue material is PLA and the black is PETG. I have no idea what that means.
Different types of polymer.
Yes, they're both plasticky.
Yeah.
Test the shot shell holders out and let me know what material performs better. I can print more of the winner. I do have black PLA if it proves the better product and if you don't want the blue. The PETG is supposed to be more weather/UV resistant, but the PLA is generally easier to work with. It's still strong, but not sure how well it will do outside in the environment. It was a fun and challenging project to do on my 3D printer. It gave me a chance to do all of the tweaking necessary to get the parts to print with that clarity and without stringing. Plus, those samples are the very first time I have used the PETG. Everything is as it came off the printer. I didn't have time to sand or anything. I have a model for mag bases, including the M&P and CZ75. I'm really interested in that.
There you go.
I'm working on too, but don't want to delay shipment any longer. The smaller flags are for a 22 long rifle, and the larger fit my FX9 9mm WK180C and in 223, and my girlfriend's Browning BLR in 308. So hopefully it works for your firearms as well. Don't hesitate to critique them. I don't have an M14 to try them on. The shot shell holders should fit 2 Molly loops or the small loop usually found on backpack straps to carry a few extra rounds while in the bush. Enjoy, fellows, and cheers, Ontario Tim. Well, I can confirm that the chamber flags do work in a Stiller TAC 30, in an M14, and in a standard Remington 700 style action. So
I'm curious to see how those chamber flags hold up when you start racking that M14 bolt and you let it drop on it a few times. I'm curious to see how they'll hold up. But
well, I think the idea there is that you would remove the chamber flag before you drop the bolt on it.
True. True, but sometimes shit happens and the bolt drops or whatever, right?
And the 22 ones do work in a 1022 as well, which is kind of cool. I like that. So
Nice.
So yeah, it's they're awesome. Thanks for the clarification, Tim. Sorry for being that guy who doesn't read the letter in the box.
Yeah, you're not alone. He actually sent that to me as well earlier in the week, and I just got busy with other stuff and completely forgot about it. But
What
yes,
I think
thank you very much.
He must not like me.
Well, I think maybe I was doing a little more whining last episode than you two were.
Oh,
because you guys have all the rum. You guys get sent the new whiskey. You guys get the shell holders and the chamber flags. Like,
hey, I'm coming to see you on Tuesday, and I have a package for you. So calm your tits.
So the fuck out.
Yeah,
wipe off your mangina and get over it.
All right.
Where can we find the podcast?
Well, we can find the podcast. I hope everybody else can find the podcast too on facebook.com/gunningaround, where we post cool gun porn and share various news articles. Not yet. And stories relevant to firearms in Canada and around the world. The pod is available on Apple Podcasts app, Stitcher, and YouTube, and other places. Pretty much wherever you find podcasts, I think.
I think we should probably take out the cool gun porn and the various news articles and change that hilarious memes.
Just salty memes.
Yeah. The very shallow kind of giggly stuff.
Kelly wants to know what they look like. Well, Kelly, look at last week's episode.
Yeah.
I don't have them handy right now.
Slacker, Kelly.
That's funny. Anyway, we also like to partake in the consumption of adult beverages during a recording of the show. Well, some of us do that are trying to not be a big fat person. So, what are we drinking? Well, I'll start with you guys. John, what are you drinking?
Well, somebody sent me alcohol.
Ooh.
Get on with it.
Ooh. Who's that?
Oh, that's that.
EM Precision Rifles.
Very nice.
Rig hand Brum.
And the bottle looks like an oil derrick.
It does. And look at the top. It's all like covered in black.
Wax sealed.
It looks
That's
like
awesome.
I think it's supposed to be oil
Black gold
out of the top of the thingamajigger, the oil rig.
Well, here, I'll be right back. Hold on.
So I Kurt, have you seen this before?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Well, since Sean's gone, I'm going to partake.
All right, let's have it.
Crack the seal.
Oh, Jesus. Don't make this painful.
I don't know if you guys can hear that or not.
Sorry.
Oh, well, look at that.
Anyway,
it's a twist-off cap. It
Does
is.
Canada Post just kind of go down the number one highway and fucking stop at Regina or what?
Well, Kurt, I tell you what, I have something for you. I'm going to spoil it for everyone else. This is for you, Kurt.
Oh, you guys, you're gonna make me all soppy and stuff.
Rum. Okay. So, because you like the Kraken, or John likes Kraken. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah,
you're getting spiced rum, and then I am keeping this, the Rig Hand Whiskey Distillery.
Oh, cool beans.
So what's his called? His isn't called Brum?
Spiced Brum.
Spiced Brum. Okay.
Yeah.
So check them out, Rig Hand Distillery. They're in Nisku, Alberta. If you want, I'm sure if you order enough, they'll do a custom label just like EM Precision did. And this is the coolest shit. Big shout out to Shane and these guys. They really hooked us up. We got hats too from Shane. So Kurt, I got one of those for you. Awesome. Yeah, this is fellas. So cool. So thanks Shane. Thanks guys at Rig Hand. Yeah. But I'm not drinking this because I am on a diet, and part of the program I can't drink alcohol. So
you know what? We get another 35 minutes further into this episode, and I bet you one of those fuckers is open.
We shall see. We shall see.
No, I'm not usually a big rum fan, hey?
Fran Drescher. I'm not a big rum fan.
I'm not a big rum fan. This isn't bad. This is actually pretty good. I'm actually I'm enjoying. I just to be safe, I had some water and some cola on hand, just in case. Just in case.
Nice.
Kurt, what do we got, John? Oh, I just finished up some coffee. It was kind of a coffee kind of
as one does at 8 o'clock p.m.
Well, yeah.
Well, if he wants to be up till
you know what? I don't sleep anyway, so what the hell difference
there you go.
Does it make?
There you go.
And I just poured a glass of White Owl spiced rum.
Ooh.
It's rum
or whiskey?
Or whiskey, sorry.
Okay.
It's kind of neat. It's clear whiskey. And it's very, very smooth.
So would that mean that it's like White Lightning then? Or
it might. I don't know.
In the words of Ron Swanson, clear alcohols are for rich women on diets. Oh. So, I'm just kidding.
Well, I've been a white male most of my life.
But you identify as an Apache attack helicopter.
When I've had enough White Owl spiced whiskey.
Yes. There you go.
So in honor of Kelly J. Longmire being the only one posting in the chat, I am going to go get a goddamn chamber flag. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, because I'm trying not to be a big fat guy, I'm drinking some water. So, dihydrogen monoxide for you uneducated peasants. Sorry. Anyway, we might as well continue on until John.
Yes.
But if you wish to send us any form of consumable alcohol, because I'm sure John will drink some rubbing alcohol, but I'm pretty sure
haven't we all from time to time?
Yeah. Isn't that what Wiser's was back in the day? Just kidding. If you wish to send us any form of consumable alcohol for us to review on air, please get in touch with via Facebook or email, and we'll send you a shipping label. You can hook this up. So hydrogen dioxide or H2O. So it's not dioxide, Jens. It's dihydrogen monoxide, but way to go.
This isn't Bill Nye, the fucking science guy show.
Yeah, but we do talk about like powders, and powders are flammable and shit. So anyway,
there's chemistry and stuff.
Well, I'm going to read John's sponsor ad too, because we might as well.
All right,
going.
Let's get to it.
So John owns M14 Medic Firearms, and he's been serving the Canadian gun industry since 2016. Well, I'd say well before that, but as a business since 2016. M14 Medic Firearms specializes in M14 pattern rifles as well as Garand rifles. This is your one-stop shop for all your M14 gun plumber needs. If he doesn't do it, he knows someone who does. Anyway, I can hear some movement,
some stirring.
Cool. So we have the sticker draw to go to TACOM, right?
Correct.
What is TACOM?
TACOM Canada 2020, September 11th to 13th. The Canadian Pro Gun Podcasters Network will be in attendance. Your favorite podcasts will be on hand throughout the show. So make sure you stop by the booth if you're in that area to meet your favorites and pick up some swag, or drop by while we do our special live broadcast, where we'll be talking to event organizers, guest speakers, and vendors about all their new and must-have products. You can see details for the show at www.tacomcanada.com. Stay tuned for ticket release details.
You bet. And with the sticker draw, you help us go to that show for every entry. $15. John is showing shit off right now. So
shell holders.
Yeah.
Match savers, yeah?
No. Just shell holders.
I think they're supposed to be, these are the ones that are supposed to go in the molly loops, right? So
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So
yeah.
I've never been so far behind in a match that I needed one of those anyway.
So for the sticker draw
match you were at there, Kurt. Sorry, sticker draw. Sorry.
Yeah, so we're doing the sticker draw. For those of you who are watching, all 18 of you right now, this is what we're giving away. So you see the stickers at the bottom, couple business cards in case you want to get a hold of TNT. We got a TNT sticker up there, hard case. It's essentially a maple seed rig. John made those things up, and that's Sarah, my wife, did too. But it's John made them for maple seed. So
yeah, and funny story, but TNT Gunworks is also the outfit that gave me a screaming deal on 30 sets of sling swivels for the slings that I made. So
nice.
It kind of seems fitting that they would do us a solid with this this package as well. So I'm actually pretty impressed. They kind of went above and beyond on this one.
Yeah, they did.
Give us a smoking deal on this rifle. And the best part, from my point of view, is they're allowing us to take the rifle and show it off like this without us actually paying for it. So we're paying for it.
We are paying for it.
Yeah, we are. We had to buy it, but we got a really good deal on it.
You bet.
But
we actually had it at the Moose Jaw Gun Show today.
Yeah, so if you were by there, you saw it already. But we don't have to pay for it till after we're done the draw. So that's actually pretty awesome. So, and of course, I really messed up because it's still
at the show
on the gun show table underneath the cloth, underneath the sheet, so that it stays there. But I was gonna bring it and show it off on the air, and
it probably shows better in the picture.
Sloth and laziness at this point, I think, is probably an adequate representation.
So. But what I wanted to add is we do have a limited number of stickers available, and we're damn near sold out, essentially.
Yeah.
So get in on it now and get your entry, because I don't know when we're going to do this again. We probably will, but we'll see. So
once we figure out how to develop an infomercial, that's when we'll do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll wait for a limited time.
More.
Resurrect Billy Mays from the grave, and
KTEL International.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the wonderful part about this is that I was worried. Like, I was seriously worried that we were going to have zero sticker sales or not very many, and that we were going to want
money to do the stickers, right? Like a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like it was a surprising amount of money for the damn stickers. I'm like, you know what? The credit card could take it.
Yeah.
But that if we don't sell these passes or these draws, we would be out. So thanks, guys, for everyone who bought them.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You're helping us get to TACOM. Tell us what you guys want for the next one.
Yeah, if you guys think this is a good idea and this is something that we should keep doing, then by all means, please. Throw us an email.
Do you want to see a pistol? Do you want to see a battle style rifle or a competition rifle or a long range rig or what? Let us know. Like
a personal lap dance by John.
That would happen anyway.
That's free. So anyway.
Matthew Shirley's in the chat and he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. Gets lonely on the prairies.
Yeah, it's cold in the wintertime.
All right, who do we have for podcasters at TACOM? The group of
we got the Canadian Patriot Podcast, the Canadian Prepper Podcast, Slamfire Radio, CCFR Radio, News Shooter Radio, News Shooter Canada. Why is there a question mark there?
Well, because
that's been there for the last 3 weeks, and I couldn't figure out what exactly their name is.
Yeah, there's also the Fog Life Base, the Silvercore Podcast, and the Straight Shooter Podcast.
Yeah. Nice.
So if for the topic today, prepping, we're only going to skim over it, right? If you really want to dive into it, check out Canadian Prepper Podcast. Ian and the guys there are great. They really dive into detail. I listen to them every week. So Yeah. Anyway, check those guys out. But yeah, we might as well dive into the topic.
Sure. Seems appropriate.
So basically,
all right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kurt. Sorry, I'll shut up.
So just awareness and safety in public places and around your home, and having a plan. It's something, especially in this part of the country, we don't often think of these things. I remember back in, what the heck was that, 2007, we had that 100-year blizzard, right? It shut a large part of Saskatoon down, and created traffic jams like crazy because people were going home earlier from work because of this storm, all that kind of stuff. And that's typically about as bad as it gets for us here. There's not a lot of crime. There is and there isn't. It seems very hidden a lot of the times. Going by statistics, Saskatoon, Regina, North Battleford have some really high crime rates. We don't often see this kind of stuff, but it is out there, and you just never know when some bad stuff can happen to you. A good example, or a reasonably decent example, is that bonehead in Hudson's in Saskatoon Tuesday evening that took a rifle into there and decided a couple of office pops would be a good idea.
Desk pops.
Desk pop, whatever the fuck you bar pops.
There you go. That works too.
Yeah. That one ended really well, but it just brought to mind to me things about your awareness when you're out in public, even around your home and all that kind of stuff. My girlfriend Nancy and I have talked often about awareness, and I'm a little bit I don't know whether you'd say manic, maybe, about girls and women in public, things like that.
Yeah. Well, everyone who's situationally aware, especially being a partner of someone like Nancy or Sarah or John's wife Cindy, you need to have a form, not manic, but more paranoia.
Well, a healthy fear.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a damn thing wrong with healthy fear. It keeps you somewhat alert. And we all let our guard down, even those of us who make concerted habits of to look around, see what's shaken, what the general mood is, things that are different, things that are a little bit off, all that kind of stuff. Sorry, I know I'm getting off the
no, you're fine,
kind of coronavirus type stuff, but it's that sort of, these sorts of things, just aware of what's around you, and like mood, body language can tell you so much about an individual or a group.
Mannerisms,
absolutely.
Language.
Somebody nervous? Are they pacing? Are they constantly looking around? I mean, aside from guys like me, I again, maybe a little bit manic, but I like to identify everybody, especially in a relatively confined space. I'm a people watcher for a reason.
For sure. And Sarah always gives me shit because whenever we go to a restaurant,
are you paying attention to me?
Yeah, well, that, but I'm always aware of what's going on, even though physically I'm not necessarily the most imposing individual, being a big fat guy. But I know where my exits are. I know how to get to the exit, and I can see the entrance as well. Yeah. That's another big thing. Pat McNamara, who I'm trying to get on the show, the trainer from T-Max Inc. He did a lot of Panteo make ready videos, stuff like that. He has a great line. He says, "You are the agent in charge of your own executive protection detail." Right. So
nobody else is going to do it for you.
No. And that includes your car, your home, when you're out having a beer, when you're out taking the dog to take a shit, whatever you're doing, when you're at work, sitting at your desk, like part of my orientation for where I work when I was down at head office in the States was an active shooter scenario. Like, what do you do? Right. Things like that. And, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be a guy with a knife or a nail file or a nail, even, for that matter. Like, you just need to be aware. And
well, there's things like, in the neighborhood I live in, there there are people that are, I don't know even know how to describe this. You got to watch people. I've been approached several times right at my home. Somebody high as a kite or drunk or whatever, and there was one particular young fella. It's like he just wanted a friend. He just needed somebody to talk to. Really, I couldn't figure out what the hell he wanted or where he was going with whatever conversation he wanted to have. But it's stuff like this. It's good to have a healthy suspicion of what that guy wants. And, despite the fact that I parked my truck out in front of my home and was getting ready to go into my home, once we finally got to the end of this exchange that we had, I walked down the street until I couldn't see him anymore, or until he couldn't see me. Sorry. I had my eyes on him the entire time until I knew that he wasn't looking at me or for me. And then I came back to my house where my truck was parked directly.
Your sanctuary.
Well, that's it. I mean, if any of that had gone bad, or at least his perception of bad, if he had taken exception to something I said, maybe he might have gotten into his mind that I know where this son of a bitch lives, and I'm going to do some stupid shit. It's entirely possible. You don't know the people's frame of mind when they're on something or just plain mad. Maybe he and his girlfriend had a fight just before he took his walk, and he just wants to take it out on somebody. But there's all sorts of these kind of things that you should at least be thinking about. And in that exchange with that fella, kept a good distance. He was fidgety and all that kind of stuff, and you never want to get in his bubble or allow him to get into yours. Keep a good distance and joke with the guy, like not do stupid things like make fun of him or anything like that. We've all encountered drunk people that take something the wrong way if you're trying to joke with them, but making it easy conversation instead of a confrontational one. Man, I've bounced in bars before, and those things easily go south if the wrong thing is said, and it could be harmless to you. Yeah. But the person that you're talking to may take it a different way. And out in front of your house is not a good place to ever do that.
And funny you bring that up, because I bounced before when in a past life, and then even I got back into it this summer, and I actually worked Estevan street dance with a couple thousand people, and there were a few of us. They called us heavy hitters, but there were so many drunks there that it was hard to keep your head on a swivel and know what's going on. And this girl is being flirty, and she jumped on the table, and this guy's picking a fight, and you're kind of everywhere and pulling every which direction. But I get it. Anyway, we're kind of divulging a little bit. But, basically use common sense and don't be a retard.
Well, one thing I want to bring up is my day job. One of the things they really stress is situational awareness, right? Very seldom am I in the same place, maybe not even the same neighborhood, maybe not even the same small town or yard site out in the country on a day-to-day basis, right? So that's one thing I've always developed, was a strong sense of looking around and seeing what's going on. Like
for sure.
There's a couple of neighborhoods I do some work in where I make sure to drive around. I find the address I'm going to, I drive past it. I drive around that block, around the block to the east, north, south, west of that one, drive down the alleys. There's been a couple times you come around the corner and there's 18 cop cars and they've got guns drawn, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to call this guy and let him know that I'll be back next week, or sorry, I need to reschedule for whatever reason or what have you, because why even put yourself in that situation? It's things like, is this place that you're going to, do they have a dog, right? And there's very easy ways, once you learned what to look for, of exactly, which houses have dogs or pets of whatever kind, or, what kind of repair or disrepair is the property in? Is it rental property? Is it owned? Things like that all play into it quite well. Yeah. I've actually had firearms pulled on me twice at work, and both times I wish I was armed. Both times I was able to de-escalate by GTFO, and honestly, that's the best thing you can do in situations like that.
Yeah.
I used to live in a very sketchy neighborhood, probably sketchier than the one you live in now, Kurt, where we had absolutely drunk off their butts people banging on our door wanting to come inside because they were outside. It was -40. They were in a t-shirt and didn't have shoes, right? And what do you do in those kind of situations, right? Somebody's standing at on your front doorstep and they've knocked on the door and now they're sitting there and they're bleeding all over your front step because somebody decided that they didn't like the way they were doing something and they got shanked or whatever else, right? Like those are all situations you have to deal with on a daily basis. And some people in some jobs are better at that than others without training, right? So it's for sure. It's especially like anybody that's like a service electrician or a plumber or like the SaskTel guy that comes to your house to run your cable. If you think that they aren't doing a drive around your neighborhood before going to your property, they likely are because they've been told that that's what they're supposed to do by their OH&S rep or whatever else like that. But these are things you kind of take for granted that maybe you don't think about when you're going to if you work say in an office building downtown. Maybe you don't realize you're doing it, but when you pull into the parking lot and start walking 3 or 4 blocks downtown to where you work, maybe you do that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you should. I know one girl that worked downtown that's been mugged 8 times over the last 4 years. Jesus. And it's like, okay, so what do you do? And she's like, well, I want to start carrying a gun. And I'm like, well, you can't do that. This is Canada for one. And for another, you can't even carry bear spray because if you haven't helped you, if you need it and you use it, you're getting charged, right? You gotta really watch yourself. Maybe what you should be doing is instead of staring at your phone as you're walking down the sidewalk is get your head up and look around and see what's going on around you. Like if there's some sketchy individual standing between a couple of cars in the parking lot where you park your car, maybe it's time to maybe think about what you're doing, right? And that's a big part of day-to-day, everyday preparedness. As far as I'm concerned, being aware of where you are, where you're going, how to get in, how to get out, what you're going to need when you get there, what problems might you encounter on the way there. Like I was telling Kurt and Sean earlier this week that I have a get home kit in my work vehicle because sometimes I'm 300-400 kilometers away from home. And I don't know I'm going 300 or 400 kilometers away from home when I leave the house that morning, but I wind up 300 clicks down the road due to work, right? So on days like that, I'm always comforted to know that, stupid as it sounds, I got a box of Pop-Tarts and a box of granola bars in the console of the truck. I carry a knife every day, a pocket knife. It's not a great big monster knife, but it's enough that you can peel an apple or skin a gopher if you had to. I keep it sharp, things like that. I make sure that my truck's always full of gas. If it gets below a half tank, I'm filling it up, and especially the work truck because you never know when you have to get
absolutely, man. Listen, it
like
costs the same to fill the top half of the tank as it does the bottom half of the tank, right?
Yep.
And
especially if it's a work vehicle, then it's who cares? You're not even paying the bill. And one thing I like about the place I work is that we have a standard for what we need in the truck for first aid kit, all that kind of stuff, PPE. We have a winter survival kit that we have to keep in the truck. There's basically 2 days of food and unfreeze. And I'm not sure how safe this is, but it's water packets that won't freeze. I'm not sure what's in there, but whatever. I got 2 days of food and water in my work truck all the time because that's a company standard that I have to meet. And once a year, we pull my truck into the shop and we go through it stem to stern and make sure that my emergency rations are still good, that my emergency water is still good, that I still have my first aid kit, and that all the things in there that expire are still good. I make sure I have all my tools and all that kind of stuff. So if I'm in my work truck, I know I can go anywhere within about 700-800 kilometers of where I am now and get there safely. And I know I've got at least 2 days of food. The one thing I wish my employer would allow me to do is stash something underneath the back seat for close in protection a little bit closer than 7 feet. So
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you were talking
Slingshot?
about provisions. Yeah. So provisions. So you talked about what you got in your truck.
Yeah.
What should one have at their home in case SHTF or shit hits the fan?
Well, that's a funny one. A lot of people don't think of prepping as kind of a BS thing, right? But like I know back in the late 90s, as a construction electrician, I was lucky to work 9 months out of 12. And my wife and I back then got into the habit of making sure when I was working and when she was working, because if she was working, it was okay because the bills could get paid. But if I was working, then we could actually, maybe eat something besides
Itchy
Hamburger Helper and Itchy Band, right?
Yeah.
So, but we always made sure that as soon as I got back to work, we would first things first paycheck, we'd fill the pantry, make sure we had at least 4 to 6 weeks of food in the house at a bare minimum, and then go from there. And then you'd start paying down the credit card that you'd racked up because you were laid off, and you'd catch up on all your bills. But first things first was always making sure the pantry was filled. And now after 20 plus years, and it's got to be close to 20 years since I had to worry about that kind of a working life, that we've still doing that. Like I've got right now,
well,
other than milk and bread, I can live for 3 weeks plus on what I have in the house right now. And
you showed me what you got, and that's a pretty good stash. I mean,
well, my wife and I decided to stock up a little bit for the coronavirus thing. So we added about 2 weeks of emergency food and this is all stuff that we would normally have in the camper all summer long because we're using the camper, but we just decided to buy it a couple months early. Because you wind up doubling up on your ketchup and your mustard and your canned goods. You wind up with an extra case of beans, that kind of thing, right? Like because everybody likes baked beans and hot dogs in the summertime, right?
Yeah.
So we just decided to start buying that stuff a little early, and we always wait for water. Sometimes you go to the store and water's like $5 for a flat. The next time you're there, it's $2 or $3 for a flat.
Yeah.
Well, we would always try to buy 2 or 3 flats of water whenever we'd see it for $2, because in the summertime when we're camping, nothing is more convenient than a 500 milliliter bottle of water stashed in that cargo pocket in the front of the RV, right? So we just always kind of started stockpiling that stuff. So we just started doing it a little bit sooner this year than we would have otherwise because of the coronavirus thing, right? So,
what comes to mind when you talk about kind of stocking up and what's in your pantry, what's in your fridge, all that kind of thing, is how many times have you seen or heard or done it yourself? You look in that pantry or you look in that fridge and go, ugh, there's nothing to eat, or heard kids say that, all that kind of stuff. It's those people that I tend to worry about a little bit, because if you have this pantry or fridge that's full of food, and you can't look at it and go, oh, or if you do look at it and go, man, there's nothing to eat here. How are that in a bad situation where you gotta go? Those people will have no idea. They'll throw in a bunch of fucking box of crackers or some damn thing.
Yeah,
it's things like that. And I get it. This is not for everybody. Oh, chances are so incredibly slim that anything will happen. I don't think. We don't need to do that. Well,
we're already seeing it right now, though, on the store shelves. My wife and I were walking through the store, and I'm like, well, with this coronavirus thing happening, maybe we should look at getting, like we have a jug of bleach in the laundry pantry. I think every household probably does. I'm like, well, maybe we should look at getting an extra jug of bleach, right? Okay. Yeah. So we walk down the cleaning aisle at the Walmart, and there's some bleach. I grab a jug of bleach, throw it in the cart. I'm like, you know what? Those Lysol wipes sure are handy. Maybe like we always keep one underneath the sink. So if we're ever preparing chicken in the kitchen or pork, that we can quickly wipe stuff down without having to do a full-on clean in the kitchen, right? I said, well, you know what? Maybe we should grab an extra one of those. There is not a Lysol wipe to be had in Regina right now at a grocery store or a large store. And it's just like, holy, I didn't realize this was even an issue. And then we're walking down, and it's amazing the empty spots in the store shelves. You know what? There was lots of brown beans, baked beans in the baked bean aisle. But like, there's no Lysol wipes, and we look and, oh, look, there's lots of high protein, high calorie, great survival type foods like beef jerky, those jars of massive nuts, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yep.
And that stuff's good for years, right? It's got a huge, like crazy long shelf life. Why?
Yeah.
And I'm looking around and I'm looking at what's missing, and I'm like, why is there a couple of pallets of water here, but there's no Lysol wipes? And why is the powdered milk shelf full? And why are there brown beans to beat the band in here? And it's like, okay,
well, it's because of
why
educated public. And panic buying. Like, I was going to bring this up later, but our dingleberries, I think I had it for dingleberries, but people are selling N95, like the 3M N95 masks for like $50, 30, $50 a pop on Facebook Marketplace, and fuckers are buying it.
Yeah.
Like what do you, like, guys, come on. Like,
I'll bet you those some people that are buying the N95 mask for $50 have gone to the store and seen the N99 or the N100 masks and going, that's not an N95 mask. I'm not going to buy that. But it's a better mask. Come on, you guys.
It's better.
And Kelly has a point here. He says,
absolutely, he does.
I think the media has something to do with that, and he's 100% right. Absolutely. But Emergency Preparedness Canada recommends that every household in the country have a minimum of 3 weeks food, like normal standard everyday food, and that they should have a 72-hour kit there for everything they need for 72 hours. And a lot of people don't do that. And a lot of, like, you'd be surprised.
Because everything's to them convenient right now.
Exactly.
When things are good, everything's convenient. And if I need something, I'll just go to the Mac store or Safeway when it's open or whatever the case, right? And what's the chances? What's the chance?
Oh, Matthew Shirley here says, I have about 2 weeks of high-calorie long-term MREs. Each is double the needed calories for a day, so can last longer if rationed. Is that not as good of an idea as groceries?
Yep.
Well, you know what, Matt, I have some MREs in my basement too. They don't last as long as maybe you'd like, for one thing. For another, those MREs, in my mind, aren't bugging in staying at home rations. Those are I need to GTFO, and I want to be able to not stop to prepare meals as I go. I grab a couple things of MREs and away I go. Now, I think there's probably other food. If you want to have long-term storage of food and you want to have enough calories to actually sustain you and your family for, say things go really south and it's longer than 3 weeks, I think you have to have a different idea than storage, right? Like there's no point in having canned goods in your basement storage room that you're not going to eat. You should have canned goods that you do eat on a regular basis and rotate your stock so that it's always got that 18 month to 2 year shelf life always in that storage room. You could probably spend the same amount of money you did on MREs on canned meats and rice, long grain rice that's like, bulk packaged in a big bag. Yeah, those things last for frickin' ever.
Sorry, Sarah always gave me shit because I used to buy cans of those sliced potatoes, and I would but because she's like, why when you could go out and buy a bag of potatoes and slice them yourself? Well, Sarah, sometimes you need longer storage, and she didn't even notice. I threw them in the slow cooker a couple times. She didn't even notice. So it's just little things like that people don't understand.
Well, it's like my wife and I, we don't eat canned vegetables, right?
Yeah.
And my wife's like, well, should we buy some canned vegetables? I said, you know what? I said, it's probably way better for in the camper. You know what I mean? Like this summer when we're camping, if we want some corn or some peas with a supper, it's a hell of an idea. I said, and keep the bag stuff in the freezer that, it's probably not a bad idea. And she's like, well, that's probably not a bad plan. I said, like, and I'm pretty sure that if we cooked canned peas versus frozen peas and put them in a little water and boiled them for a couple of minutes and then dumped out the water, that you wouldn't really tell the difference anyway.
No, I wouldn't advise you rely on corn though.
No, I'm just saying, but like corn and peas are kind of
nutritional value and the what your body has to do to actually use what little nutritional value there is in corn. Get peas.
The big advantage to corn is knowing how long it stays in your system.
Yeah.
Yeah, for your guts to go and do nothing.
Well, Kurt, you were talking about nutritional value. A lot of this stuff has to be cooked. So are you guys storing fuel or propane or wood, or what are you guys doing?
Well, I do have a couple of those little fold up camp stoves or whatever with what do you call those?
The cubes,
little fuel cells or whatever. I have several of them around, and I have to admit, as much as it might sound like I'm preaching here, I'm not prepared for bad shit like I want to be. I do have probably everything I need to survive for like just completely get out way out in the bush or whatever and survive for probably 3 weeks, something like that. Available in my home, packed up and ready to chuck in the truck. No. And it's these last couple of weeks I've been thinking about this sort of thing more, especially with the coronavirus and all that kind of stuff. Not like we're gonna have to pick up and fuck off, but it's
you never know though. You might.
No, you never know, but it's I'm the same as so many other people. What are the chances? And it's not priority one right now. And I'm so busy with so many other things. I have all that stuff anyway. So yeah, I should probably do that, but we'll put it off again and again and again. I need to put together some kits just to be safe. Like gas cans, things like that. You talked about rotating stock with food. Gas does get stale after a while, and it's always a good idea to have a couple of big jerry cans of gas. And listen, you use it all the time anyways. So every 3 weeks or something like that, throw a jerry can in your truck.
Put that gas in your truck from a jerry can. Ew.
Say that again, John.
Such a pain in the ass to put that gas in your truck.
Oh, the inconveniences. That's what kills people.
I do store a little bit of gas, probably 10 to 15 gallons in the shed.
Yeah,
that's enough usually to run the lawnmower and the snowblower for an entire year. Right. But it's also enough to get me somewhere if the need ever arises.
Sure.
But I always buy premium for that because it has a longer shelf life.
Sure.
And multitude of purposes too, right?
Yeah. And when I put it in the jerry can, I add a little bit of stabilizer to it and some seafoam to boost the octane level. And that kind of helps it a little bit too. And then I, generally speaking, take a piece of tape and mark the jug so I know when it was filled. And when it gets to be 8-9 months old, I
put some treatment
in the half ton and add some stuff.
Do you let it go that long?
Yep. You can probably let it go a year or more, but
with stabilizer for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But like premium doesn't have the ethanol in it, so it doesn't turn into that cobwebby crap that's going to gum up the carburetor in the snowblower or in the lawnmower or that kind of stuff, right? Matt Shirley has one here. Says, do any of you jar or preserve wild game? And my answer to that is hell no.
Yeah, I've wanted to for years, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, canned meat.
I'll make jerky, but
which is kind of like preserving it, but you're going to sit there and you're going to gorge on it till it's all gone once you get it, right?
Well, back to your fuel thing, John. I actually have a camp stove in my not in my storage unit, in my laundry room, because I'm in a tiny little condo. So you guys have full homes where you have space for this shit. I've got a pantry underneath the stairs full of Ichiban and canned chunky soups and blah 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 blah. It's like shit you're gonna eat. Yeah. But then how are you gonna cook it if you have no power or electricity? So I actually have one of those Coleman camp stoves with I think 8 little of those mini propane jars, just in case. I'm not going to use it inside because it's a safety hazard. But then another thing you have to think of, like for me, I'm in a multi-unit dwelling, and if I go outside to cook my food and other people are starving, they're going to see that be like, I want your shit. How are you going to protect yourself? Like, how are you going to,
Okay, so I'm going to give you a big chunk of hint here right now, and it's going to save your life if this ever comes to something you need to do. Long grain rice does not need to be cooked to be edible.
True.
You mix some rice with some water, the normal amount you would for cooking, and you set it aside for, like, if you do it before bed, when you get up in the morning, it will be edible, right?
Unless it's -40 and your water is frozen cock stiff.
Well, That's when you put it into a sealed Ziploc bag and you sleep with it in your sleeping bag or whatever else, right?
Between your legs.
You then take a jar or a can of canned peas and you mix that in that with that water and that rice before you go to bed. And when it's done, you take your can of tuna or salmon or ham or whatever the heck, whatever, and you throw it in there and you mix it all together, and you've got something that will keep you going,
keep you alive
quite well. It'll keep you alive. It's maybe not going to be the best flavor. It's maybe not going to be the best thing you've ever had, but you can live on that. Just like that, you can live on that stuff for weeks at a time.
Well, are you satisfying hunger, or are you satisfying, I don't know, fucking food critique?
Yeah. Matthew, use the water.
That was good. Yeah, hey, look at me.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that water. I'll be honest with you. I'll also be honest with you. I've never actually checked it in the wintertime, but it does say on the package, will not freeze.
Yeah.
But back to my question though, like especially for me, like I'm in a multi-unit dwelling. If somebody's envious I'm going to choose my family and me over them 10 times out of 10. And do I stockpile ammo or should I have focus on a caliber? I know what I'm doing. I've got my own stuff, but what are you guys doing?
Well, what are your thoughts? I mean, listen.
We're all doing our plan, so
well, if we lose power, you know what I mean. This is the thing, right? If you lose power, all bets are off, right? If you have a generator, that's great. You'll be fine for a couple days till your neighbor decides that they'd like to have your generator because they can hear it running, right? So that's a problem, and you have to have a plan for that. And that's where if we're talking long term here now, like that's going to be a problem. It's the same thing with cooking. Like Sean said, like my main plan, if we lose power and my generator's out of gas, I know that there's still going to be natural gas in the natural gas piping system in this province for a little while. It used to be once upon a time, it would last for a lot longer than it does now. Gas is so cheap. Natural gas is so cheap right now that Sask Energy and Transgas are not stockpiling large amounts of it. So
they're not giving it away either.
Well, no, but like compared to prices of natural gas now, compared to what it was in the late 90s, it's about 30% of what it was then. So Sask Energy and Transgas have let the storage caverns around the province slowly fill up with water because it's going to cost them more to pump out the water in the storage caverns then it's going to cost them for the natural gas to fill up those storage caverns with natural gas. So it used to be that if there was ever a drastic power outage that was widespread, all of the valves and everything else like that open and close for the utility, the natural gas utility, would default to open so that you would always have natural gas everywhere in the province. Well, it used to be that Sask Energy, Transgas, we used to buy low and sell at a reasonable rate to the province, the citizens of the province. And there was usually between a year to a year and a half of storage of the province's usage of natural gas in the province of Saskatchewan. That's now gone down to somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks. So I know that if there's a long-term outage around this area, that my natural gas barbecue is going to have natural gas going to it for probably a month, maybe longer, maybe less. So the downside of that is if I have no power and I need to cook with my barbecue, I have a bunch of freezer meat that's going to have to get cooked lickety split in order to not spoil, right? And that's the problem, right? Like if my neighbor who isn't a grasshopper, who's an ant, right, is not the kind of person to have enough to keep their family fed for a longer than 3 or 4 day period of time, they're going to be out scavenging or whatever else if it ever happens. And here I am cooking deer steaks in the backyard, right? Like
you're advertising.
Well, exactly. Well, I can't bring it inside the house because you can't cook inside the house with an appliance that burns fuel like that.
In those conditions, you might find a way.
Well, you might be right, but my neighbors will still smell it, and they'll look around and see an open window, and game over, right? Like it's just not feasible. So you're going to have to protect what you have in some way, shape, or form. And I think honestly, for the kind of protection I'm expecting, a 22 long rifle is more than enough.
Yep.
Honestly,
I fully agree.
Nothing. You know, farmers have been killing pigs and cows with a 22 long rifle forever, and if that won't put down somebody that's just decided to kick in your door, then you need to work on your marksmanship skills. Now, I'm not advocating taking out your neighbors because they pissed you off. That's not the
That's a totally different. Yeah.
If it comes down to you or your family, or
you
can have a gut check moment and do your business. Especially, you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to stockpile 308 or 223 for AR," and it's like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but it's a lot easier, especially for me in a small place like this, to store 20, 30, 40,000 rounds of 220 or 22 than it is to even stock 5,000 rounds of 308 or 223.
Well, 4,000 rounds of 22 long rifle takes up as much space as 1,000 rounds of 223.
Yeah.
And you'll get a lot further on that 22 long rifle than you will on the 223, I think. Not that you shouldn't have the 223 or the 12 gauge or the 308 or the whatever. Yeah. But I think if you're talking about survival and you're talking about stockpiling, I don't think there's any point in stockpiling anything in a STF kind of situation than 22 long rifle. Don't get me wrong. If you get a good buy on 223 and you shoot 3-gun, or you like to shoot your AR at the range or your bolt gun or whatever else, then by all means buy it cheap and stack it deep. But I wouldn't be relying on that in a survival situation because, one, it's going to be heavy if you have to move. It's going to be loud. And now not like, don't get me wrong, 22 long rifle fired inside an indoor range is loud as hell already, you know, but 223 is even louder yet. And that's what you're planning for, is protecting your family from assailants. Now, the downside is that if you're not getting those quote unquote A zone hits with a 22 long rifle, you're going to have to dump a lot of rounds. And then maybe it's better off shooting a round of 12 gauge double-aught buck, right?
True. But John, in reality, if you shoot somebody in the leg or an arm with a 22, they're going to have a bad day, and they're going to reach their choices, right?
Yeah, so, but is their bad day going to come to fruition soon enough for them not to harm the person that you're trying to keep them from harming, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. You're not going to get those, you know, oh, you can shoot that animal in the hoof and it'll die because of the velocity and the caliber and the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys say with 338 Win Mags. And that's why I shoot it at elk, so that I can take those marginal shots and it's going to work great. Like, well, you know, okay, that's fine. But we aren't talking about that. We're talking about, you know, somebody's trying to take your door to take your stuff, and your wife and children are here, and it's you or the person taking your door, right?
Yeah, I got to be honest. Like your 22 long rifle idea is a great one as far as I'm concerned. If it came down to really shitty stuff, and if it came down to right fucking now, for me, I would have one hell of a hard time passing up my M305 short and all the ammo that I could carry. That and the shotgun. Yep. Now that I have one, the 22 would definitely come along, and all the ammo that I have with it, with them, if I had time. But if it was a right fucking now situation, it would 100% for me. And maybe this is because of that engorged fuck you center in my brain. The one and done appeals to me. Rather than one, is that enough? Oh no. Okay, here's another. Is that enough? Okay. Like, especially like you say, John, when it comes to your family, fuck you.
I agree.
You're getting it hot and hard, and go carry on.
If somebody's coming at you with a knife, okay, and say you're within 21 feet of them, and you blast them with your M305, 308, 7.62 by 51, they can still close the distance and cause harm.
For sure.
Right? It doesn't matter if you're going to hit them with a 308, because chances are it's going to go through and through. Second off,
Sean, with a 308 versus a 22, that same 21 feet, whatever the hell you said,
yeah,
you got a way better fucking chance with a 308 than you do with a 22, given that distance. That's the way
I agree. Like with if somebody's coming at you with a knife and they're 21 feet away and you've got a firearm that is handy and shouldered and ready to go, and you have to hit them in that exact right spot with one, or any marginal hit anywhere on their body is going to slow them down enough that you can get a second one on them where it needs to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I honestly think that if you're stockpiling ammunition for SHTF, then 22 long rifle is what you need to be stocking. But if of all the guns I have, if I had to defend I didn't have to leave my house, and I was defending my house from, raving lunatics or the zombie apocalypse or somebody coming to my house to try to take what I have, I would not hesitate. I'd grab the biggest thing I could shoot quickly, rapidly, and get hits on the A zone. And it doesn't matter if the caliber starts with a 3, a 4, or a 5. It's going to happen, right?
Yep.
And Jens. Well, no, sorry. Kelly, what about a 9mm? I think a 9mm is great, but just like a 22, be prepared to shoot more than once. You know what I mean? You're gonna likely not.
Well, that's where a Maple Seed 1022 comes in.
Well, I'll be honest with you. That's exactly what I was thinking about. I've got lots of 1022s, and I'll be honest with you. I really honestly can't think of a better. The world is coming to an end. I need to take one. I can only carry one. Which one is it going to be? I don't think I'll be grabbing an AR-15 as much as I think AR-15s are cool and everything else of that. I'm going to be grabbing a 1022, probably my 11-inch barreled one with a standard stock. I'll put a sling on it so I can sling it easy. I got lots of mags. I can carry 20 pounds of it. How many rounds is 20 pounds of 22 long rifle, right? Yeah. And where can you find 22 long rifle?
Everywhere.
Exactly, right? You don't have to worry if this store that I've only got 30 rounds of 357 SIG on me. Where can I get more?
Yeah, right. Well, there's that.
You might actually have better luck finding barrel for your pistol that will take something different than 357 SIG than 357 SIG. And Jens has a comment here. I'm just going to post it up. The 44 mag pirate gun. It makes the statement. Well, it certainly does. And that statement might be, let me fire 5 rounds and then I'll come for you.
Yeah.
No, he's right. It's something like that. It's like, this is so far beyond the realm of possibilities. I think at a point in time that we might as well be talking about screen doors and submarines and.
Well, okay. So you think a 1022 is awesome. We're gonna beat this horse to death, guys.
Sure.
We have the sticker.
Hold on, I gotta refill my drink.
There you go. I'll give a little bit of something here. We got the sticker draw. $15 gets you an entry to get this bad boy, and this would be perfect for those scenarios. So get as many as you want. Send us an email with your shipping info, phone number, name, etc. We'll ship you out your stickers. You can slather it all over, whatever the fuck. I don't care. But yeah, this is awesome. So
whatever the fuck. I don't care. Nice.
Yeah,
you can put that sticker anywhere.
Speaking of putting stickers anywhere, I'd love to put one over the mouth of the mainstream media. Because they are really stoking the fire of this bullshit, and there are mainstream media, especially
oh my God,
that it's but global CTV, all those big Canadian guys, they're just stoking the flames of this, and that's causing the panic, and so there are. Well, our Dingleberry plus any retailer or Facebook marketplace fuckwit selling those N95 masks for whatever the fuck they're selling for. It's like, come on, guys, quit being such dinks. And then also honorable mention to that douche who fired the office pops or desk pops at the Hudson's there. But human who doesn't suck is the guy who was situationally aware, saw that happen, and took the guy down
in the entry. Yeah, absolutely. And to the guys who responded with him once they saw the scuffle and helped them out, take that firearm away from him.
Cleared it in a safe manner.
A bunch of good guys against a fucking idiot.
Exactly. So, what can we do to keep our guns, guys? Kurt?
Well, you can join our national firearms associations like the CCFR and the CSSA. A membership to the CCFR costs $40 and is good for a year. It wouldn't hurt if you bought a hat, shirt, sticker as well. Everything helps. And here's a quick message from one of those organizations.
And we're back. I love it.
Everybody watching this is going,
watching are like, what the fuck are they doing?
Is that a seizure they're having? A collective seizure?
We're all like oh my goodness.
Anyway, but yeah, so speaking of the CCFR, John and I worked, and Matt Shirley, another field officer, worked the Moose Jaw Gun Show. Shout out to those guys. They gave us a prime area right at the entrance, and
that's
we
perfect.
sold a fuck ton of memberships, a fuck ton of sticker draws, and we were busy all day. And probably the busiest I've ever been at a show. But that's also due to the political climate as well with Trudeau and everything that's going on.
Yeah,
with
guys want to know what we think and what we're doing about it, and where can I put my cash, right? That kind of thing. It's refreshing. It's nice to see, and it makes me proud to be a freedom-loving gun owner in
and part of this community, even though sometimes it can be blatantly toxic.
Yep.
It makes me like there. John,
it seems like that's calming down a little bit though lately.
Well, John, how many memberships did we sell by guys just coming up and like, who are you guys? Well, we're Canada's largest gun lobby organization. Yeah. Okay, I'm in. Like we didn't even have to sell them past that. Like, so
no, that's right. And we have lobbyists in Ottawa. Okay.
Take my God, money. That lobby thing just drives me fucking insane. Yeah. That's American. We don't have a fucking gun lobby.
Well, actually, we do.
We do. It's called the CCFR, but they're the only registered lobbyists in. No, but they are the only registered lobbyists on Capitol Hill in Ottawa. The CSSA, they're asked a lot of questions, but they do not have a registered lobbyist. The NFA, they're asked a lot of questions, but they do not have a registered lobbyist.
Well, no. Apparently, as of 2 weeks ago, Matt Shirley says that somebody else has another one. But
really,
whatever. I digress. We're the only ones doing shit.
We're the ones, like the CCFR is the only organization that is going out of their way week to week, day after day, and posing questions to members of parliament, having meetings with them, sitting them down, taking them to the range, doing range days, all that kind of stuff.
Engaging an MP to co-sponsor a petition, the largest e-petition in Canadian history, by the way. That was done by Brad Menisiak, who's the CCFR field officer in Medicine Hat. So props to Brad. But I digress, guys. Go support all the organizations. But just keep rocking. And thanks, guys. We appreciate the help. Also, shout out to a few of the Gunning Around listeners that came up to us and said, "Yeah, we listen all the time. Thanks for coming around."
That's awesome.
Keep it up.
That made me feel also. I almost got weepy. I'll be honest with you.
Well, did you get a hug? Did you get a hug today?
No.
Oh, Matthew,
guys, that's important. So start giving them out. Business card and a hug.
That's right.
It's important.
Kurt will even give you a whisker rubbing if you see him in the.
I might.
But no, and that kind of reiterates, that we're doing something on top of what we're doing already as volunteers. But we have fans, so thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All three of you. Yoo-hoo!
Yeah. There's 20 listeners right now, so
that makes me feel shiny too.
That's right. So,
there's Doug.
Yeah.
Here's something for the listeners.
show them what you picked up today.
Hello.
This is a Cooey Ace
75. Cooey 75.
So whatever. It's a Cooey
in rough shape. Like
it's terrible. The old guy who sold it to me was dragging around an oxygen tank. I'll put it that way.
I mean, he's not joking.
And he's like, I'm looking for somebody to buy these guns. I heard you might be a guy who could buy some guns. And basically, this is an estate sale because he's ready to check out. So is his old lady. And he's like, yeah, takes me out to his truck and shows me these rifles. And I'm like, dude, these are rough. But here's a Hiawatha.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Tube fed, bolt action. It's got the bespoke machine screws holding on that scope mount.
Oh, wow.
I can barely see through this scope. It's got like an insanely short eye relief. But this is the real gem. This is the real gem. This is the reason why I couldn't help myself. This is a Cooey 12 gauge.
Hi there.
Number 840. I have plans for this shotgun.
Well, show him the crack if you can see it on the thing. It's brutal. It's so bad.
The one on the gun, John.
This poodle from the neighbor came over and was killing all his chickens, and he only had 3 shells with him. He fired all 3 shells. Couldn't manage to kill the poodle. The poodle killed all golfing. So then he decided to go poodle golfing, and he said, "I missed that cocksucking poodle, but I broke my shotgun, and that poodle got away, and the rest of the chickens died anyway." But if you see here, I'm not sure if you can see that real well, but there's a crack that goes
laterally against
right here, and it goes right all the way out here to a nice point right there. Yeah. And I'm like, so did you dowel that or anything when you fixed it? No, I just glued it back together and gave it a coat of paint. And I'm like, that's pretty dangerous, actually. If you're shooting this thing and that crack decides to let go, you're gonna catch. Maybe you won't, but likely will catch some splinters in your cheek. Maybe you'll wind up stabbing yourself in the shoulder. And I said, I'll have to fix that. So, anyways, long story short, he was a kind of a cool old dude, and I felt bad that he had to get rid of his guns and that his kids didn't want them, and so I took them off his hands. I probably overpaid, but I'm a sucker that way. Well, my wife, when I got home, she's like, "What's this?" And I told her, and she goes, "You're such a sucker for old people selling shit like that." And I said, "Well, you're not wrong." And the funny story is, the last 4 years in a row, I've gone to the Moose Jaw show. I've had some old guy walk up to me with something, try to sell it to me. And maybe it hasn't happened that day, but like the next day I wind up with this old Cooey 2 years ago, it was the Springfield Armory's M1A, but
you're a damn humanitarian, John. I don't care what anybody tells me.
Yeah. Right. Anyways, that's my gun show finds. And so those awesome. 4 boxes of shot shells, and those I was worried they were like mixed boxes. But no, they are what the label says, which is cool. So.
And we also got a deal on 3 Red Dot sights. One of them, 2 like RMR
style
like Red Dot that you see on a pistol, and then a Prism optic from Scorpion Optics, Canadian company that has lifetime warranty, but they are definitely budget optics. And we actually ended up selling one at the show too for a bit of a loss. John looked like he was going to punch me in the face when he found out about it, but
a bit of a loss.
Yeah. $6 of a loss. Fuck off.
see what Doug put there?
I'm really old to have a bridge. Doug, if you have a bridge for sale, I'm in. God damn it, I'm in.
As long as it comes with some shot and powder.
That's right. Is there any primers included in that bridge?
Anyway, so we got another day tomorrow, and I actually might work out a trade deal for that Furiosa, so I'm hoping that goes through. Or a guy might sell it.
Damn yet.
No, but I actually had an offer for it for cash money and a coach gun.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, coach
gun.
So
we'll see.
Why do you still own that
front door gun?
Well, the guy didn't have it with him. He's bringing it tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. But I digress.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, thanks,
I hope you get at least $700 or $800 out of that thing, because I think that's about what you owe me.
Sarah's not home right now. So. Anyway, shout outs. So I'm going to lead off. I want to give a big shout out to Daryl, owner of TNT Gunworks, for hooking us up with that 1022. Absolutely. Thanks, buddy. We did buy that gun, but then we saw the gun for sale for $10 less than what we got the deal for.
I went and looked. It was actually a different model. It didn't have a plastic hard case. It had a soft case. It also was a American, like the Ruger American rimfire style stock.
Oh, with the pinched in sides.
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah, with no sights on the barrel. So I think the carbine's actually a higher model.
Okay.
So
that makes me feel a bit better. But shout out to Daryl. He hooked us up and he's helping us go to TACOM because.
Yep.
Indeed. Yep. No, much appreciated. The same with me, Daryl. Thank you very much, TNT Gunworks. Good place. Sure.
Yeah, and that's probably my shout out this week too to Mrs. Sean Hyndman, the better half over there, for sewing those slings up for me, and to TNT Gunworks for the maple sleeve sling swivels. That's awesome. Thanks a lot, buddy. The maple sleeve.
And don't forget to shout out to the guys that made your fucking rum.
Rig hand rum. But no, TNT's
so
been really awesome to me lately. They've hooked me up with sling swivels for my maple sleeve slings, and I got those for cheaper than I can find them on Wish. I'll put it that way. That's how much of a deal they gave me on those things. They gave us a great deal on this rifle. TNT Gunworks, Daryl, you're turning into quite the awesome individual as far as I'm concerned.
Turning in, you still got a ways to go.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Your evaluation will be in
a little
2
bit
weeks.
more hair and get a little taller, and he's good to go.
And he's good. say maple seed 5 times really fast.
Maple seed, maple seed, maple seed, maple seed, maple seed.
Oh, okay, you're okay.
Can I do it?
We thought you were having
such a dick. Like, why do you want to ruin our fun all the time? Like,
yeah,
that?
exactly.
Bend over, over.
Well,
Roger. What's our Victor?
Bend over, red rover, over.
Okay, we're going to end this here, guys. Thanks for joining us. Apologize to Wes Stevens. We ran out of time for you this week. Maybe next week? Maybe. Yeah. I'm Ron Burgundy.
There it is.
You got to put one of those in every episode. Big shout out
to Danny Joe.
Yes.
Got me a man bun, my very first man bun.
It's greatly appreciated. Check them out whenever you get your music. Oh, speaking of which, there's a table behind us. They're raffling off a 6.5 Queermore. And I made a joke about how that rifle, that caliber, this old guy's sitting there going, well, I've even heard of this 6.5 Creedmoor before. What is it? Where would you even buy ammo for it? And I started laughing. And I said, geez, I said 6.5 Queermore. I said, that's just about as common as a man bun.
He probably responded to you like, yelling from around here.
And he kind of looked like, what's a man bun?
That's right.
Fucking millennials.
He definitely looked like the type of guy who would shoot 30-06 out of his hunting rifle. So,
no. He's definitely a trio tree man. That's definitely that's an early boomer if I ever saw one.
Speaking of boomers, we'll see you next week, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
Adios.
Stay deadly.